Welcome to Chulane, Teller of Tales. As far as opening hand goes, yes, we're going to keep on this one. I love it. We've got two lands. We've got Elvish Mystic. We have Ghostway, Enlightened Tutor, and a conditional counterspell, which actually works out pretty well in this deck. So, very nice opening hand. We could have look for some card draw, but with Chulane, we're going to get all the card draw that we need. But yes, welcome to Chulane. Hope you're excited for the new commanders out of Eldraine. This is actually the very first game that I'm playing with this deck, so we're going to see how it plays out. I did like the way it looked whenever I built it, so it should be pretty decent. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it is. And I'll kind of explain, and then Guy's Cradle. I love it. Let's go and lead off with Wooded Foothills. We'll go ahead and grab probably a blue-green source. That'll be pretty good. So let's go ahead and grab a Tropical Island. That way we can grab a Mystical Tutor, Elvish Mystic, have that enter the battlefield, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So, we are playing Chulane, Teller of Tales, and Daxos has a library late fee, so we're going to try to collect it today. Vigilance, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Then for a 3-mana activation, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. So, see what we run into for the turn. Run into, Kindred Summons. Let's go for Sun Petal Grove, and that'll put us at 3 total mana. I think at this point what we'll probably do is simply just going to go and pass the turn, because we might end up going for Enlightened Tutor for Mana Crypt, because if we end up going for that, that's going to allow us to go for Chulane. Then we can start casting some of these creatures, and that's what we really want to happen, is just kind of get that card draw going as quickly as possible. So, playing against Daxos, the Return, the official little Athreos Achievers of the Church of Athreos. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get an experience counter. Then for a 3-mana activation, create a white and black spirit enchantment creature token. It has this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of experience counters that you have. So let's go for this Enlightened Tutor. Yeah, I like doing this. We're going to go for Mana Crypt, and hopefully maybe we can run it another 1-drop or something. We can have a little bit of extra mana. Where are you? There we go. Let's grab Mana Crypt. Let's put that on top. That's going to allow us to power out Chulane. Now, if our opponent does have spot removal, they've got it. We could try to leave up Unified Will, but I kind of like going for this, at least kind of forcing the issue of them having some sort of spot removal. So let's go and run into that Mana Crypt. Let's go Mana Crypt for the turn. Yeah, that'll be good. All right, so we go Mana Crypt. Let's go Chulane, and that'll still give us access to 2 extra mana. Actually, if we do it like this, I think either way we're going to have to tap down on blue mana. We're going to have Chulane enter the battlefield, and then anything else we're going to go and pass the turn. So hopefully, fingers crossed, our opponent doesn't have any spot removal that allows us to untap, go for Rashmi, be on that card draw. We don't have a land to get on the battlefield just yet, but if we run into it for the turn, we'll make it. And if we draw off another one, we'll be able to get it down. But the important thing is we did get Guy's Cradle, and that's really going to help us kind of power out this Kindred Summons. Now, as far as this actual build of this deck, we covered both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to build any of the new commanders from the Eldraine set, head over to MTGOTraders. They've got you covered. Just give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. When you get yourself a playmat or a t-shirt or anything like that, head on over there. All right, so our opponent does have some spot removal. It's not the end of the world. We can still end up going for Rashmi. But yeah, head over to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off anything off the website, or check out some of my merch. Search our website for JOLT539. You'll be able to see it. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. You can support cool content like this. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So let's go for tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. One the flip. We are 1 for 1 on those Mana Crypt triggers. And see, there we go. Run into a land for the turn. Let's go Savannah. And I think at this point, we'll probably end up doing is simply just going for Rashmi. Well, that's still, we really need blue mana very badly. But if they have some more removal, I guess I don't really mind them going for that. So let's go Rashmi. Let's get tapped down for 1 more green mana. And that still gives us access to Ghostway. That way, if our opponent does have something, or at least maybe we can leave up Ghostway mana with Guy's Cradle next turn, that'll be another way we can kind of dodge some sort of removal from our opponent. So, anything else? We're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So, now it is officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, as far as this Chulane deck, this is basically just kind of Druid Tribal. I love playing Tribal decks, and when you have a commander like Chulane that allows you to draw a bunch of cards when you're just doing something you normally would be doing, and that's casting creatures, that is a wonderful thing to have. And there's a lot of druids that are just basically mana dorks. So, we can ramp into Elvish Mystic. We can end up going, not ramp into Elvish Mystic, we can get down Elvish Mystic, Arbor Elf, Tree Speaker, Noble Hierarch. And there's all these different druids that allow us to kind of ramp out a Chulane really quick. They have low converted mana cost, typically 1 or 2. That we can cash in some of that card draw. And then something like Kindred Summons. So choose a creature type, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creatures of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures that you control, and that just really allows you to end up with a ton of druids on the battlefield. Then we just toss down a quick coat of arms. Typically with Enlightened Tutor, you want to grab coat of arms because once you get all the druids on the battlefield, it's a pretty good feeling. But hopefully we can dig for it. And that's the other good thing is, if we're just casting spells and drawing cards, we'll be able to find it sometime soon. And if we can't find coat of arms, it's your standard elf ball deck. We've got some Crater Hoof hanging around in here and Enrace Forerunners ready to welcome our opponent to the library. So let's go and choose tails on this one. Lost the flip. We were 1 for 2 on those mana crypt triggers. And then we run into an island, which is definitely very nice to see because we need some blue mana. So let's go for Chulane. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll still put us on Unified Will. Yeah, I like that. So that's going to be white, green, and then blue. So we'll have Chulane enter the battlefield. We're going to be able to reveal the top card of our library. We'll see what that is. Yes, definitely want to cast Bloom Tinder. All right, so we're going to have that enter the battlefield. That'll really set us up for really nice Kindred Summons for next turn and really work towards getting a lot more druids on the battlefield. So let's have Chulane enter the battlefield, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. So even if they do have some more spot removal, we still have Unified Will that's going to be able to counter that spell. So if it's a board wipe, if it's something else like that, we're at least going to be able to protect ourselves. And then once we get past this turn, we're in a really good spot to protect ourselves. We've got Ghostway, and then once again, we can go for that Kindred Summons. We've got Guy's Cradle, just going to be tapping down for 4 total mana. We got Bloom Tinder tapping down for 3 mana. So between Guy's Cradle and Bloom Tinder, we already have Kindred Summons right there. So that's a pretty good chunk of mana right there, which is pretty nice. They're going to need an experience counter. Do we want to counter Erebos, God of the Dead? Can't gain life, which doesn't really matter in this deck. The only thing that we'd maybe want to do is cut off that life. I think that's well, I think we can let this go through. I would like to counter it, but if our opponent's got Toxic Deluge or something like that, we really need to protect this board state. When you're playing Chulane, getting a lot of creatures down, and you're trying to make it to the late game, it is so important to keep your creatures, at least kind of protect your board state. So that's why we're going to hold on to Unified Will at this point right now. And especially if they want to start digging with Erebos, paying for those activations, that'll really... There we go, Toxic Deluge. Okay, so let's go for Unified Will. That was beautiful. All right, so we're gonna go Unified Will. That's gonna reveal the oh man, that felt good. All right, so we're gonna have the Rashmi trigger, and we'll see what's on top, but probably not unless it's a mana dork or something. But all right, so we're gonna go for Unified Will, and oh, that felt good to just dodge that Toxic Deluge. We're in a pretty good spot now. So pass it back over there. We'll be able to go for Kindred Summons at the end of our opponent's turn, and at this point, we're just gonna be digging for either Kamal, Crater Hoof, Enrace, Forerunners, anything like that. So let's go and choose tails on this mana crypt trigger. Always choose tails because it never fails, except for sometimes. All right, 2 for 3 on those mana crypt triggers. And we run into Deep Forest Hermit. And that is a druid too, which is pretty nice. So let's go forest for the turn. That's going to power out this guy's cradle very, very nicely. So let's just go ahead and go for that. That's going to be Bloom Tinder tapping down. 1 more green source. Actually, let's see. Because we do need to leave up Ghostway. The best way to do this. Yeah, I think that would be good. We go Bloom Tinder. 1 more green mana. Yeah, that's going to be just enough for Deep Forest Hermit. We can tap down Guy's Cradle because that's going to be 4. Yeah, that's going to be more than enough for Kindred Summon. So let's go for Deep Forest Hermit. That's going to give us the Rashmi trigger. And also we get the Chulane trigger too, which is going to be nice. All right, so we have no land. So, oh, and then we also draw into Karametra, which is going to be really nice. We should have Devotion to Karametra pretty soon, I would assume. And I don't think we've made the land drop for the turn, so we're still going to be able to get down Command Tower. So let's get those Hermits on the battlefield. Let's go for Command Tower. No, we have made the land drop. And then anything, yeah, look, Guy's Cradle's going to be tapping down for 9 mana. We could go for a Kindred Summons right now, but I think what we probably want to do is just hold on to it. Ghostway and Kindred Summons are both an instant speed interaction, so I kind of like holding on to this. So anything else, I think we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. We could swing in for... I guess swing in with Chulane. What's going to be... Yeah, they're just simply not gonna. Yeah, don't attack. That's fine. We'll pass the turn, and we'll go for that Ghostway and Kindred Summons, and kind of go for that next turn. We might be able to kind of swarm the board. If we get lucky, end up running into one of the creatures off the top, kind of top decking into something like that. That would be nice. But with Ghostway, we can't end up going for that at the end of our opponent's main phase, and that's going to bounce them back onto the battlefield. We don't really have any enter the battlefield triggers. Ooh, except for D4's Hermit. That's going to allow us to get a few extra squirrels. Oh, yeah, that's going to be really nice. We'll end up with like 8 squirrels on the battlefield, which will be a very, very nice feeling. And also with Ghostway, we'll be able to dodge any sort of interaction. But the way we can sequence it, we can go for Kindred Summons. That's going to reveal cards till we hit something. And then we can leave up Ghostway if we're worried about any sort of board wipe from our opponent or something like that. I'm trying to think. Oh, the other kind of package that we're running in here is just enter the battlefield effects. We've got Beast Whisperer, that way whenever we cast a creature. All right, so let's go for Kindred Summons. We're going to tap down, actually we'll do it this, yeah, Kindred Summons is going to be good. Now, if we end up exiling Ghostway, we're going to end up losing these squirrel tokens, but I think that's still going to be okay at this point. So let's go Kindred Summons. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Feels so good to be dodging these board wipes like that. We'll get, oh, Cream of the Crop will definitely allow us to grab for that Crater Hoover, any sort of effect like that. That's going to be beautiful. All right, so we're going to have Cream of the Crop enter the battlefield. Let's go for this Kindred Summonings. And we're going to choose Druid on this one. And we'll see what sort. Oh, look at that. So we're going to get Voraging, Priest of Titania, Beast Whisperer. Oh, and then we've got Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. Okay, so we're going to go for the activation. We're going to target our opponent. We're going to tap down 7 Druids really quick. Let's add that green mana to our mana pool really quick. We're going to target our opponent. Oh, this is this is one of those win conditions that I put it in here. And I was like, if we get it going, it's awesome. If not, it's just absolutely beautiful. All right, we're going to tap 7 untapped Druids that we control. We're going to be able to gain control of our opponent's lands, and oh, this is gnarly. So even if we don't run into Gilt-Leaf, oh, look at that is. All right, so let's get this Cream of the Crop trigger. Let's go for Ghostway. So we're going to exile all of our... All right, opponents can scoop it up off this one. I don't blame them. We gain control of all of their lands. So with Gilt-Leaf Archdruid, if you didn't see this, so whenever you cast a Druid spell, we get to draw a card, which works out perfectly in a Chulane deck. But also with Gilt-Leaf, tap 7 untapped Druids you control, gain control of all lands target player control. So we gain control of all of our opponent's lands. Even if we don't run into this Druid, we've got all these Cream of the Crop triggers entering the battlefield that's going to allow us to dig a little bit deeper for Crater Hoover, Enrace Forerunners. Then even with that Damnation on the stack, we've got another Ghostway effect to kind of bounce everything out. So that was a very beautiful showing of Chulane, and that was the first game we played. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, like and subscribe. Thanks, bye. Welcome to Chulane, Teller of Tales. And as far as our opening hand goes, we don't have any blue mana, but yeah, we can make this work. We'll keep on this one. We've got at least 4 total mana. We can go for Gilded Lotus, and that'll allow us to go for Mystic Confluence, which sounds pretty cool. So let's go ahead and we could get the Scry and the Scurry going, but I think we just want to go ahead and shock in Temple Garden and let our opponent know what's up and go for an Arbor Elf. And anything else going to go and pass the turn over our opponent. So we are playing Chulane, Teller of Tales. Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Then for a 3 mana activation, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Playing against Mr. Black Friday himself, Mr. Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Death Touch. Whenever Gonti enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library. They're going to be able to exile one of those cards face down, put the rest on the bottom, and then they may spend their manas on any color to cast that spell. So opponent's off to a pretty quick mana start, so hopefully we can kind of keep up with that. And we run into Glacial Fortress, which is really nice. So that's going to be 3 mana, which is nothing that we can do this turn. So let's just go and go for Temple of Plenty, and that way we can officially get the Scry going, the Scurry, the Fever. God Eternal Ketra. Yeah, I think I kind of like that. We've got her in here just to cast a bunch of Druids, get a lot of zombies. Yeah, I think we're cool with that. Let's put that on top. Let's get some cat zombies going. Anything else? We're definitely going to be able to swing in for 1. It's going to knock them down to 29. And then anything else, we're simply going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So next turn, we do have 4 mana. We'll end up going for Guardian Project. And then with Chulane, we might end up going for Chulane. But since we don't have a creature to cast into Chulane, which typically if you're going to have, if you're playing Chulane or a commander that's at least 5, 6, 7 mana that needs something to happen when it you get it on the battlefield, then you need something to happen to generate some value. Let's say you're playing Angry Omnath. Typically, once you get it down, you're going to be able to get some sort of value, whether it's a token, card draw. So with Chulane, I think what we might end up doing is simply just ramping at this point right now, and then kind of building up a few of these mana dorks in our hand, and then slowly deploying them out, and hopefully we can close the game out playing against Gonti. So we did cover both commanders. I gave a shout out to our sponsor in the other videos. It is officially free time. Let's have some fun. So with Chulane, hopefully, and I think this video is going to come after the video I last recorded. And oh man, that was that felt pretty good. That was a good game, and it's funny because that was the very first game that I played with the deck after I built it. And so, I've gotten to the point now to when I build these decks, I have a pretty good feeling of how they're going to operate. But it's an always good feeling whenever you build something and then you just jump into the playtesting and you're like, oh, hey, that's pretty solid right there. That was a very nice to see that. And our opponent's living the Gonti dream right now with that Panharmonicon out there. That's going to be pretty good. We do have Mystic Confluence, but unfortunately that's not going to bounce back Panharmonicon to our opponent's hand. So let's go for Glacial Fortress. We're going to add green mana to our mana pool. Let's use that Arbor Elf to untap the forest. Tap down for another green mana. And we're going to go for Guardian Project. And then next turn, that's going to be Sun Petal Grove we can go for. That'll be Gilded Lotus. And then we'll kind of start to deploy some of this stuff out. We might actually end up going for God Eternal Ketra first. That way we can at least cast Chulane into a Ketra. And like I mentioned earlier, just have some sort of value by getting down Chulane. If we get a 4/4 Black Zombie Warrior token with Vigilance to stick around, that's a pretty good thing. I'll take it. Now, we are staring down Gonti with Panharmonicon. The only thing is our opponent is bottlenecked on black mana, which I will take it. That's pretty good. If we can get to that second blue mana that does leave up Mystic Confluence, and that does allow us to kind of counter Gonti and just keep it off the battlefield. So we'll kind of see exactly what we end up going for. But yeah, when you're stuck on black mana like that, it's not a ton of fun. There they go. They do end up hitting it, so they do run into swamp. So let's see what we hit for the turn. That's going to be Brushland. So no matter how we swing it, we're not going to be able to go for double blue mana with Mystic Confluence. So I think at this point, I think we just want to ramp because we really need to swarm our opponent once they end up going for this Gonti trigger. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. All right, so let's go for Sun Petal Grove. Let's tap down Temple Garden. We're going to untap Temple Garden. Yeah, and I think we could go a Ketra this turn, but I just really like getting down Gilded Lotus because that's really just going to open us up on mana, especially if our opponent's going to be going for Gonti next turn. That does give them double triggers. But that also kind of keeps us open on Mystic Confluence because I would at least want to be able to have this online, whether it's just drawing cards or counting another spell or something like that. And if they get, I think they've hit like 3 Mana Crypt triggers in a row, and now finally lost. They go down to 26. So they're getting pretty lucky. But yeah, as far as this Chulane deck, this is pretty much just Druid Tribal. A lot of the Druids are mana dorks. It really helps kind of push our game plan, which is a lot of fun. You can just spend your turn going Arbor Elf into Bloom Tender, into Leafkin Druid, Paradise Druid, and Priest of Titania is a Druid. And so you're going to get that extra overlapping mana once you get a lot of Druids on the battlefield and a lot of Elves. So you can just generate a ton of mana. And then once we kind of have that established, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create this like thriving board state. We're going to have these mana dorks down when we have cards like Guardian Project. So once we're entering the battlefield, we're going to get some sort of value. Ooh. And with them going for Liliana, I really like this because that's going to keep us open on Mystic Confluence. Because if we can keep Gonti off the battlefield, if we can kind of get that commander tax going, we might be able to kind of bottleneck the game. And depending on what they end up tutoring for, we're going to be able to stop it with this Mystic Confluence. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So, but yeah, outside of Chulane getting that cast trigger from casting creatures, just kind of doubling up on these end of the battlefield effects. We've got Guardian Project in here. We have Cream of the Crop. Just kind of having as much overlapping value as possible is really going to make the whole Kindred Summons. Okay, so we need to get a few more Druids on the battlefield for that to be really good. Let's go land drop for the turn. That's going to be Brushland. So at this point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 total mana. Unfortunately, that's going to keep us off Chulane and keep us off God Eternal Oketra. I think what we'll end up doing is let's just go and pass the turn, because even if they don't cast anything next turn, let's say they go for Gonti, we can counter that Gonti and go for Mystic Confluence and cash in a card draw. I just really like kind of passing the turn at this point, because even if we go for Chulane or God Eternal Ketra, we're just kind of in this weird spot where we don't really have anything to show for it and we can't protect ourselves. So simply just maybe leaving up that mana for Mystic Confluence to draw a few cards or countering something sounds like a pretty good plan. We do have Gilt-Leaf Archdruid in here, which if you saw in the last video was a pretty good card. Get a lot of Druids down, and that is pretty much a good game. I mean, it's Definitely an alternative win. I mean, like an alternative way to win with the deck. I mean, once you tap down 7 druids and gain control of their lands, there's not much you can do about that. So our opponent does have 2 mana available. That's going to be Unstable and Swamp. So I think at this point, let's go and go for that Mystic Confluence. Go target, counter spell, and we're going to cash in 2-card draw. There we go. Counter target spell unless they pay 3, and then we draw 2 cards. So we're going to click cast on that one. We're going to choose Gonti. Let's go triple blue off of Gilded Lotus. And 1, 2, 3. And then I feel like that's a pretty good exchange because now we can really kind of start to deploy some of our threats out. God Eternal Catcher is going to be able to shuffle back into our library third from the top. So it's going to be able to kind of keep those zombies on the battlefield. Ooh, and then Unbreakable Formation. Oh, that's going to be beautiful. So, oh, and then Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. That is, now we definitely need to get the Archdruids going. That's something that we need to get a few more druids for that to happen. But with Kindred Summons and Gilt-Leaf Archdruid, that is, it's like playing Splinter Twin in Bant. The best thing ever. You just win the game. All right, and we'll definitely be swinging at Liliana next turn, I think, with because I think we'll have just enough. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we hit the land drop, that'll be just enough for. No, actually, we'll have enough with Chulane and Unbreakable Formation, so we can still swing in at Liliana, keep her off the battlefield. That'd be pretty good. So let's go and push. In fact, let's go and go for that now. Let's go and push in with Arbor Elf. Oh, it's your time to shine, Arbor Elf. Go. Can you imagine Arbor Elf just scurrying across the field, getting ready to fight the great Planeswalker Liliana? So it makes Magic really good. Let's go Chulane. Yeah, that'll be good. If we end up going Chulane, because we don't have to worry about any sort of artifact destruction from our opponent. Let's go Chulane, and that way we can cast Druid, we can get down God Eternal Catcher, and really start kind of developing a really nice board state. So let's tap down green, tap down blue. There we go. 1, 2. That's going to have Chulane into the battlefield, and we'll get the Guardian Project trigger too, which is going to be a very nice thing. So Forest, we can be able to play the Forest for the turn. Yeah, and especially since we want to leave up Unbreakable Formation. We're just going to go and pass the turn. That was a beautiful draw to run into Unbreakable Formation. One of the other things that you do want to keep in mind when you're building a Chulane deck is that your board state is your win condition. No matter what's going on, no matter what you're trying to do, you're casting creatures and you're going to win with those creatures somehow. You want to run some sort of protection. So whether it's Unbreakable Formation, Heroic Intervention, creatures you control, I mean, whatever that is, Teferi's Protection, anything like that. You just want to be able to protect what you've got going on and be able to dodge any sort of. Now, if our opponent's got Toxic Deluge, that's going to get it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be Damnation or something like that, and we're going to be able to give them Indestructible, which would be a very nice feeling, and that allows us to untap and generate some nice mana. But yes, definitely don't want to skimp on any sort of protection spells, because, you know, like you said, you need to win the game somehow, and that's protecting your board state. It's going to be very important. All right, so opponent's going to go for All Is Dust. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents that they control, and that is definitely going to get it, because Unbreakable is going to give them Indestructible, but we're still going to have to sacrifice it. So yes, okay, that's fine. That's going to send Chulane back. It's worth going for that. You know, when you're playing against Mono Black, they tend to run a lot of board wipes, and they can't be regenerated, so Unbreakable Formation is going to be a great way to kind of get around that. So we still have it, though. That way, typically All Is Dust is one of the things that you aren't going to see too many sacrifice effects in Mono Black that big to hit our entire board state, so that's be pretty good. Now, we do run into Cyclonic Rift, which we can definitely send everything back. And I think that sounds pretty good, because they've wrecked our board state. We can wreck their board state. The only downside is they're going to be able to rebuild their board state pretty quick. We could just go for a tempo play, Cyclonic Rift on Panharmonicon. All right, Chulane's going to be 7 total mana. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'll actually be just enough mana for that. Let's do that. So let's go Chulane. All right, so we're going to have Chulane into the battlefield, and let's see if they're going to end up going for Gonti, because at this point, I just kind of like, we could try to cast Leafkin Druid, but if our opponent's only going to get 1 trigger from Gonti, we don't really see any way they can sacrifice Gonti. So if we can dodge a Gonti trigger, I think I kind of like going for this. So let's leave this line of play up. I know I did mention earlier in the video you want to get some sort of value from getting down Chulane, but I feel our opponent's going to be getting ready to go for Gonti pretty soon, and Cyclonic Rift on Panharmonicon would be a great way to kind of set them back on mana, at least kind of get in their face just a little bit, and then hopefully next turn we can run into a Ketra. That's going to be Leafkin Druid, and then we can get a few more Druids down, because once we have Chulane, which is going to be a Druid, Gilt-Leaf Druid, that's going to be 2, 3. So we'll have 3 druids. If we can somehow end up going for this kindred summons, that's going to allow us to get 3 more druids on the battlefield. And then we just need 1 more druid that's untapped to gain control all of our opponent's lands, which we'll get the coffers interaction. Think about how good that would be. Urborg and coffers. Now, I would assume our opponent would probably scoop, but you know, it's nice to kind of want to live that dream sometimes. So let's see what they're going to be tapping out for. Okay, opponent's going to go for Diabolic Tutor, which I think we're cool with that. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So, yeah, let's go and let that go on through. Oh, they're going to end up going for double coffers, which is going to be a very, very nice way for them to generate a pretty good chunk of mana. Now, that does allow them to go for Panharmonicon again next turn, but at least we're going to get rid of that double Gonti trigger if that's what they end up going for this turn with Gonti. Okay, opponent's going to go for Beacon of Unrest. Put target artifact or creature onto the battlefield. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to be just Mind Stone back out. Yeah, that'll allow us to at least untap next turn, and hopefully still leave up Unbreakable Formation. So I really like that. That'll be pretty good. Maybe our opponent was trying to play around a counterspell with us leaving up blue mana on Gonti. I don't know. I feel like that was pretty good. Then we run into a land for the turn, which is going to be very, very nice. So let's get the land down. I think the best bet for us at this point, if we go, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 total mana. We need to make sure that we're leaving up God Eternal, we're leaving up Unbreakable Formation mana. So I think at this point, yeah, let's go God Eternal Ketra. So that's going to be 1, 2. That's going to be God Eternal Ketra. That's going to allow us to cash in an extra card draw from Chulane, and we'll still be able to leave up Unbreakable Formation. We have no lands. Click no. So we've got Eternal Ketra enter the battlefield. That'll still allow us to end up going for Leafkin Druid, which will be pretty good. Now, we did run into Kamal, so if we can generate, maybe we find our way into Guy's Cradle or something like that, that'll definitely allow us to generate a ton of mana, maybe kind of close the game out. But thankfully, with Ketra entering the battlefield and us getting those tokens going, that's going to be a good thing for us. So let's go and put down Catacombs. We'll have Leafkin Druid enter the battlefield. I think that'll be it, yeah. So we'll simply just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We'll go and swing in for 2. I think that'll be pretty good. Maybe we can start chipping away at that mana crypt life total. And then everybody else has summoning sickness. So swinging in for 2. That's going to knock them down. Oh, maybe we could have swung in earlier. I think this is the first time that we could have swung in. I always think of Chulane as simply just being the card draw source. And I forget that he has vigilance, which is a good thing to have. Anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So. And now we do have Kamal Fist of Krosa. That is a druid too, so that'll put our druid count up to 3. And then once we get down Gilt-Leaf Archdruid, that'll put our druid count up to 4. So now that'll be 10 total mana, and then we have to end up going for Kindred Summon. So we're looking at like 17 mana. So it is a good line of play to go for if we want to keep it in mind, especially if we can kind of set it up with Unbreakable Formation. But yeah, gaining control of double coffers and Urborg and all that fun stuff. I think we should try to go for it. Now, hopefully our opponent is going for a board wipe. That's going to be Damnation, Crux of Fate at some point. That's going to allow us to leave up Unbreakable Formation. Pretty much one of the things we don't really want to see at this point right now is going to be Toxic Deluge. That's not going to be a lot of fun. Now, with them having double coffers, they don't have a ton of lands out there. That's going to be 5 total lands. We do have to watch out for Exsanguinate or a Torment of Hellfire. That is something that we definitely want to keep in mind. But thankfully, this deck, maybe we can build up a nice board state between the Zombie Warriors and drawing in some card draw, getting a lot of creatures down that will be able to dodge something like a Torment of Hellfire. Okay, opponent's going to go for Cage Sun. That's going to be double mana. And if they're doing a lot of setting up, we might be able to kind of sequence this Gilt-Leaf Archdruid thing. I mean... That'll be pretty fun. At this point, that'll be the ultimate Gonti theft thing, to steal from Gonti, steal all of Gonti's lands, which would be very, very nice to see. Oh, bummer. Okay, opponent's going to go for Black Sun Zenith for 6. We're going to put 6 counters onto all of our creatures. That does get rid of everybody. So, and unfortunately with that Unbreakable, that is not going to be able to stop it. So let's go and crack this Catacombs. Because I think we don't mind having God Eternal Ketra on the top. We definitely want to grab another white source. So let's go and grab a Breeding Pool. We're going to have that come into play tap. Not going to pay 2. And we could Cyclonic Rift something, but I think we might end up going for that next turn. That's going to be Cage Sun, Panharmonicon. We might try to just force that during their upkeep, I think. That might be a good option for us to go for. Or if we want to kind of rebuild. With Cyclonic Rift, that'll send everything back. Yeah, we don't mind that, because it's going to allow us to get a few extra creatures going pretty quick. That'll send back Mana Crypt, opposite Panharmonicon. Basically, it's just going to buy us kind of like a remand turn in a way. By the time they get all that extra coffers mana going. So let's see what we draw into for the... Ooh, Guy's Cradle. Okay. Well, kind of getting to where we can live the dream. So we go with Guy's Cradle. Yeah, and I think we're going to do this during our opponent's upkeep. I think that'd be pretty good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 12 total mana. So it's going to be 7 mana for Cyclonic Rift, and that gives us access to 5 total mana. I think we still end up going Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. I think that'd be pretty good. So let's go for Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. Because also with Gilt-Leaf Archdruid getting down, it kind of acts as a double Chulane. Let's go Overload on this one. We're going to pay 7 mana. All right, it's going to send everything back to their hand, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn back over to our opponent. So with that Guy's Cradle, that's really going to help us out. But the other cool thing about Gilt-Leaf is that whenever we cast a Druid spell, we get to cash in a card draw. So we get to cast Chulane, get that card draw, get Chulane on the battlefield, we cast Kamal. It's going to be some very, very nice mana. So we go for that Cyclonic Rift. That's basically going to hit the reset button on everything that they've got going on. They're still only looking at about 5 total swamps with Urborg, but I feel like this is a pretty good line of play to go for, at least to kind of buy us a little bit of extra time. We've run into Olive Dust. That's going to sacrifice everything. We did hit Black Sun Zenith. They got shuffled back in. That still leaves Toxic Deluge, so at some point we'll be able to kind of cash in this Unbreakable formation, which would be nice. But let's go ahead and let them rebuild their board state, and then we'll jump into commentary. And okay, so they're going to have Thespian Stage become a copy of Coffers. So we're looking at triple Coffers on our opponent's side of the battlefield, which is definitely need to kind of keep that in mind. That's a pretty good chunk of mana right there. So let's go Forest. I think at this point, we just need to go for Chulane because we need to get as many Druids on the battlefield and as quickly as possible go for Kindred Summon. So let's go for Chulane. Be triple, it's going to be 9 total. Poor Chulane's been hit in the face like 400 times. Okay, we're going to get an extra card draw from a Gilt-Leaf Archdruid. Yes, definitely want to use that ability. Oh, run it, God Eternal Ketra. That's right, we shuffled, put it on top of our library. That still puts us at 5 total mana. So we could go for Oketra, but I still think at this point we need to leave up, protect our double card draw source, and that's going to be Unbreakable Formation. Even if we end up going for Oketra, that is nice, but at this point, we're going for the Druid game plan of getting all 3 coffers, and I think that's pretty good. So let's just go and pass the turn to our... Oh, we should have swung in with Gilt-Leaf. Sorry about that. We should have swung in. I just completely forgot. We got down Chulane and forgot that we could have swung in. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. They said we're about the 20-minute mark in recording this game, so sometimes little things like that kind of slip my mind whenever a game goes along like this. So, but if they end up going for a board wipe, we got Unbreakable Formation. Worst case scenario, we do have Kamal next turn, which kind of does put us in the range of going for that Stampede effect. That's also something that we can do. That'll be +3. That's going to be 6. That'll be 8, and then that'll be 11 coming across. So it actually would have been lethal. That's assuming they don't do anything for the turn or go for unstable. But just kind of show you there's different things that you can do with Kamal using that activated ability. But let's see what they're going to be tapping out for. Okay, they're going to go for Panharmonicon. Okay, they're going to go for Narcana, which is just going to be an insane amount of mana. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional black mana, which is really good with Urborg out there. Ooh, and that's going to be Josu Vest Kick. So that's going to be a ton of zombies on the battlefield. And that's going to be double the zombies with Josu Vest. So even if we do get to swing in last turn with the Gilt-Leaf, that puts them down to 9. We're still looking at a ton of... We're looking at 16 zombie knights on the battlefield, which is a pretty good chunk of zombies. So we'll see what we can do about this one. This has been a very good game. Lots of back and forth. I feel like we've both been building up our resources in a manner to, just kind of tip the scale into our favor, and our opponents definitely got them. That's one of the good things about Josu Vest and a mono black deck. There's so many times to where Gonti, yeah, that's fine. They're finally going to see Gonti into the battlefield, get those double Panharmonicon triggers. I'm not sure what we can do next turn to maybe close this one out. I mean, we're maybe looking at a Teferi's Protection. We were trying to go for this Kindred Summons and Gilt-Leaf Archdruid, but looks like Josu Vest's army might end up getting us. So they're going to be able to grab 2 cards up the top of our library. The only good... Well, actually, the one thing that we don't want to see very badly is Coat of Arms. If our opponent goes for Coat of Arms, that's not going to be good. We have it in here for our Druids, and that'll definitely help them out with the Zombie Knights. So if they end up grabbing Coat of Arms off the top, Hey, more power to them. That's a pretty cool thing for them to go for. But yeah, that's going to be hard for us to stop next turn. We'll see what we draw into, though. They do run into our Priest of Titania, which they don't really have a ton of zombies over there, or a ton of elves over there. So it's just going to be tapping down for one. And we'll see what we can kind of work up on our side of the battlefield. All right, we run into Familiar's Ruse. Okay, so we've got Guy's Cradle tapping down for 2. I guess we just start casting creatures just to kind of see what comes out. So let's go God Eternal Ketra. It's going to be triple white. It's going to allow us to cash in an extra card draw. Not going to put a land on the battlefield. We do run a Swords of Plowshare. That is nice. We can maybe gain a little bit of extra life. Let's go for a Kamal, Fist of Krosa. That's going to be double card draw from Chulane and from Chulane and Gilt-Leaf. So we'll get that extra zombie on the battlefield. No land to put on the battlefield. We get to cash an extra card draw with Gilt-Leaf. Yes, definitely want to use that ability. That's going to be Worn Power Stone. And we'll have Kamal enter the battlefield. And then Springleaf Druid, or Spring Bloom Druid. I think that'll be good. Yeah, we can give that a shot. I mean, if we want to try to survive this board state, we could try to leave up Unbreakable Formation. Give our creatures indestructible. I think that's the better line of play. Because at this point, we're going to have 5 bodies on the battlefield that can block these zombies. So they've got 16. That's going to be 11 times 3. That's still going to be a good chunk of damage. So let's go Spring Bloom Druid. We can at least Swords of Plowshare one of the creatures. Yeah, because with God Eternal Catcher, maybe we get an extra chance to kind of stop something. Okay, then we get down Command Tower for the turn. That's still, I think that should be it. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we'll probably end up doing is might end up just going straight up Swords of Plowshare to stop any extra mana from our opponent. I think that might be a good option. We'll see what ends up happening, but because that's going to be the bigger creature out there for sure that's sitting at a 5/5. Yeah, I think that's a good line of play for us to go for. Let's do that. So let's go Swords to Plowshare on Arcana, because everything else is a 5/6 or a 3/4. Now, the only downside is Josu Vest does have Menace, but I guess if they're going to be casting stuff, we'll just go and let it go on through. So let's just go and pass the turn at this point. See if we've got enough blockers. That's going to be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So they've got 20 creatures coming across. I don't know if we can survive this. We'll just kind of see how they decide to swing in. Maybe they're a little bit conservative or they're worried about something else. But yeah, if we'd swung in with Gilt-Leaf earlier, that'd put them down to 6, and that'd be 2 more Mana Crypt triggers. So kind of keeping score of that in my head. Okay, so they are swinging in with the entire crew. Let's go Swords to Plowshare on Josu Vest. It's going to be 1 white mana. We're going to get rid of Josu Vest simply because that Menace ability is getting really hard for us to stop. We'll see once we declare blockers what's going to end up happening once they stick around. So we got Zombie Warrior on Zombie Knight, Zombie Warrior on Zombie Knight. We got Spring Bloom Druid. You know, I think no matter how we swing it, I think they're going to be able to stop it. So we go... Oh, excuse me, all the Zombie Knights have... I forgot that. All the Zombie Knights have minutes, so we're going to be able to click OK on that one. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, we're not going to be able to survive these Zombie Knights with that Menace ability. So I was thinking maybe we could end up blocking with some of our tokens, but not our tokens, but some of our creatures. But I totally forgot these zombies have Menace. Yeah, that's definitely going to stop us from getting anything done. Good game to our opponent. That was a really close game. It had a lot of back and forth. Unfortunately, we just couldn't keep Chulane on the battlefield. You know, we ran into a lot of minus effects, and we had Unbreakable Formation that should hopefully was going to allow us to kind of stabilize and start cashing in some card draw, but unfortunately our opponent had the answers and they were able to use that to kind of close the game out. We did have the long shot of Kindred Summons and Archdruid on the battlefield to gain control of our opponent's lands. I was just salivating at the thought of getting triple coffers. That would have been really nice, especially with Urborg. Oh, ton of mana, but that's how magic goes sometimes. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.